Okay,
fine.
but
Like,
dude, skill wise, how do you rank him?
oh, dude, skill wise, I put him like number one. I actually think no one can. Skill wise, dude, I don't think that the mixture of judo and sambo and a little bit of BJJ has been seen in the UFC yet.
What?
Honestly, I, 45, 44, 43, 44, 2, 1, 0.
That's where the legend of Top Hold Rockhold, Top Control Rocket. Okay, man. So Ciryl Gane versus Tuivasa was last weekend. Damn, dude, pretty fucking good fight. And Robert Whitaker versus Vittori. Chef's kiss from that. Dude, that performance was great.
It was a beautiful performance, man. Rob Whitaker just like I just my favorite part of MMA is when opponents just look confused. Like I don't even know what to do.
Yeah,
And they just
and we
shut
got both of
down.
that in the main and co-main.
Yeah, I know. Like dude, Vittori just shut down, man. He wasn't even throwing at some point. He was like, I literally have no idea what to do. I'm getting punished for every single move I take here.
And in the main event, what did you say is like the most brutal beatdown you've seen in heavyweight? Dude, is that? I feel like
Yeah.
that's a pretty
That's probably
accurate
not
description
true. I mean,
too.
that's probably not true, but like
Dude, I don't know, man. Because most of the time in heavyweight, it's either like a slop
a
fest
knockout.
or it's just
Yeah.
a quick knockout or finish.
Yeah, you don't
You had a
see
unique,
that because this was like technical domination, but also it wasn't pitter patter. It was like
yeah, dude. You
just
had a unique
disgusting
mix of
shots
a
to the
guy who
body.
could absorb an enormous amount of damage and a guy who could dish an enormous amount of damage out.
I know, like I didn't think I'm super high on Ciryl, but I didn't think he had the ability to hurt people like that. I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
like because normally he doesn't take that much risk, but like man, I just cringed every time he landed a body kick against Ty at some point. Like he buckled over, almost finishing
Dude,
the fight multiple times. Like
I
if you
still
watch
can't get
the ref,
over it.
he's like a second away from jumping in, and Ty sees that and he like stands up again. Like that's what it was. It was just gross, man. He he would
Dude,
just take a full power body kick right across, like he's perpendicular to Ciryl Gane. Take a full
oh
power
my
body kick
god.
to the stomach, buckles over, and then just like staggers back because he's like just
Dude, honestly,
so beat
Ty's
up.
ability to just absorb damage is second to none.
Man, I think so too. Especially like yeah, because normally like you see guys with good chins, body shots crumble them,
You're right.
but he
Dude,
can
and
take
just
everything.
his fight
He's
against
got the
Lewis, his fight against Greg Hardy, where he was rocked. Like, he's gotten rocked so
yeah,
many times
exactly.
and still won. He almost won against Ciryl.
His chin is insane. His chin is like there's
His
no
chin is
question.
insane. And
But like
dude, those body shots would have finished.
his belly his belly shield is also
Dude, yeah, that's the thing. Like, the durability that you have to have at heavyweight is, I mean, dude, and Ty's crazy. Okay, so speaking about last weekend, we had Robert Whitaker throwing out a pretty spicy take that he's the most dangerous middleweight in the division currently. So since I have some hot takes for you, we'll just start with Robert's own hot take. So what do you think? You agree or do you disagree? Most dangerous.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Danger to me implies the ability. It's more offense oriented. It
Right.
rewards dealing damage. It
You're right,
rewards
exactly.
dealing
That's what I was
damage.
going to say. You have to define danger as ability to deal damage.
So basically, like even if someone else has a better strike absorbed to strikes landed or damage taken to damage dealt ratio, I would still give the dangerous title to the person who deals more damage.
Yeah.
Just that stat. And who else besides Whitaker at middleweight? There's no one. There's no one
Who
who's as clinical as Whitaker at dealing damage while also being effective.
right.
You know,
And I would
just
rate
dominated from
headshots in
all
that
angles.
regard over like leg kicks.
Unless the leg kicks are like finishing you. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, Whitaker
Okay,
was
but
dominating the leg kick game as
devil's
well. But he was
advocate,
also dominating um, with just headshots. He didn't really go to the body as much from what I remember,
Who?
but just head kicks,
Oh,
jabs.
Izzy?
Whitaker, this last fight.
Oh yeah. No, but his
So
headshots
beautiful,
were so they were
beautiful,
so
yeah.
like pinpoint perfect accuracy. Okay, but dude, Devil's Advocate, Alex Pereira is pretty fucking deadly.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Just
he's
not
gonna get
proven enough
smothered by
for
a
you.
wrestler, and then he's gonna deal zero damage. Whereas Whitaker even has the option of taking you down and doing ground and pound.
That's true.
So that's why just like the
Dangerous.
clinical, the clinical ability to access damage from any area, no matter
Yeah.
what the situation is presented to you. That's what
Dangerous
makes it
also
dangerous.
applies like being able to deal damage in different aspects of the fight.
Exactly. Like your options for dealing damage also need to be pretty diverse in order for you to be dangerous. So Whitaker. I mean, honestly, compared to
Damn,
Pereira,
dude. I don't know. Whitaker is fucking good. I almost want to
dude,
see
you know
Izzy
what he
move up to
reminded? He
light
reminded me
heavyweight.
of Volkanovski, kind of, his last fight.
He
Just like
reminds
how
me.
clinical he was in choosing his combinations, how accurately he was landing, and the pace at which he has a constant pace. That's what I like about him. Like he doesn't fault. He builds up to a pace he's comfortable with once he's figured everything out, and he just stays there. He doesn't really slow down, and he just it's not like a terrifying pace or anything, but it's a pace he knows he's comfortable with.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like the way
It
Volkanovski
is
builds, and then
interesting. I can see what you're talking about, where they're dangerous everywhere. They're both really well rounded. But to me, they just seem so much different almost. Because Whitaker, even though he is an aggro guy, he doesn't have like a steady forward pressure like what Volkanovski will bring to people. He actually mostly like in either blitzes in forward or enjoys like bringing his opponents into him where he can catch them on their timing or counter strike, slipping and
yeah, he
ripping.
does like the counter
And in
strike.
that
But
regard, he almost reminds me just of Ciryl Gane. Just because
but
other than Izzy, his striking is leagues above everyone else in that division. And he does kind of like to play the outside edge game. Not to mention just like some of their some of their strikes are similar, but I could just be biased due to recency bias because they fought on the same card together. But like their
yeah,
jabs, their kicks, the way they kind of dance on the outside. But yeah,
but I will also say that part this especially this last fight, one thing Rob did really well was he pressured and then he went back. He was switching back and forth, baiting out shots from Vittori by pressuring him and putting him on the back foot, and then countering when Vittori tried to regain ground. And that's what Volkanovski does a lot too. Like Volkanovski doesn't just sit back and counter strike. He'll be first and last a lot of the times.
right. Yeah, that's
And so
actually a good point.
both those guys do that very well. Versus Ciryl does that too. I mean,
I mean, it's
Ciryl
kind of funny though because we're like, oh,
Ciryl
both
is more
have.
able to just stay on the outside without pressuring forward and land damage. Like
Dude,
he's
it's
just
kind of
better at
funny though
doing that.
because we're like both guys have really good like top level striking in the division, so they're similar in that regard.
Yeah, I guess it is might be a dumb comparison, but that's what was going through my head when I was watching that fight.
Okay,
Um,
dude.
just
Well,
the
I
way they
can't.
approach the fight too. I think just the way they approach the fight. I was just hearing Whitaker talk about it after on the El Hawani show too, and they approach it from a really strategic and clinical perspective, just like the way they understand the impact of what happened in the first round and then what happened in subsequent rounds.
Yeah, I
Made
haven't
me
heard that one.
made me feel that he had a holistic view of the fight, and it's a similar sense I get when I hear Volkanovski talk about fighting too.
I mean, don't they train together a bit?
I mean, I guess they're both Australian. I just realized that, but I've never
I
heard
think
about
they've.
them training together. But it would make sense. I don't know
Yeah,
why they
because I
wouldn't.
think Volkanovski trains like part time at City
Well, actually, I
Kickboxing.
don't know if they do because doesn't Volkanovski train with Israel, so you kind of have
Part
to choose
time. He
one there,
doesn't
right?
train like all the time there
I
though.
know, but still, I feel like you gotta pick it. You gotta do one or the other. Man.
Okay. So we can't have a hot take list without talking more about what happened last weekend. So here's my hot take for you. So we take a look at Ciryl Gane after beating Tai Tuivasa in round 3, finishing him brutally. Like The conversation opens up about his position in the heavyweight rankings, but I want to take a look even further and talk about his position in the pound for pound rankings. And my hot take for you is that Ciryl Gane is Khabib level right now. And he's Khabib level in one specific aspect of like his record, in the fact that you can count the rounds that he's lost. You don't count the fights, you just count the rounds. If you take a look down
Oh,
his
I see.
resume, he's like 50-45 almost everyone that he's fought. And the only time he's lost a fight is because he's lost a few rounds. Very closely contested rounds too, which is in
Yeah.
the exact same level of the 2 rounds that Habib's officially lost.
The part of the thing with the rounds thing with Khabib was that he has the most 10-8s of any UFC fighter. He has
Okay,
like
but
the
is that
most.
really what people talk about? Because mostly when hear people
I
talk
mean,
about Habib is he's never
People
lost a
were
round.
responding to the damage. The reason people talk about rounds with Khabib was because while he had a lot of decisions, the fights almost felt like it would have been better if it gotten stopped. Like decision was almost worse for their opponent. Like the dominance, the sheer brutality of what
But
he
it's the
brought to the cage.
dominance.
I don't get that same sense
Habib
from
started
Cyril at all.
adding damage later on in his game. Early on in his UFC career, a lot of the time is just control and heavy takedown attempts. And that was the
It
dominance,
was
but it
still
wasn't.
that. It was still ground and pound though. Like I don't think he ever won rounds just off of pure control. I mean, how early do you
Well,
want to
right,
talk
he would
about
still
it?
ground and
Before.
pound. But I think you're a little. I think you're giving him a little too much credit in the fact that people are like, oh, stop the fight. I don't think that
No, yeah, yeah,
scenario
you're right.
came
It
up as
wasn't
much as
like
what you're.
stop the fight. But
And I think you could argue the same thing. The most you could say, or the best thing you could say about Habib's game is that a lot of the times, like through after the first round, you're like, oh, it's a foregone conclusion that he's gonna win, right? Through his wrestling. But couldn't you just say the same about Ciryl Gane's game? That his striking is so much better than all of the other heavyweights that after you've seen one round, you've kind of seen them all.
yeah, yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. Like he has it's the same sort of style. Like the style may lead to decisions, but it's domination throughout. So it's like a similar comparison to the way Khabib fights. Same like he dominates. It might go to a decision, but like there's no question. There's no question about the decision. It's always,
You're
a
right.
foregone conclusion once you see what's going on. But Cyril has already lost a fight now. And the thing is, most people don't see that fight the way I think you and I do. Like most people see it as like Ngannou really taking it over, which in a sense he did. I mean, I see why people think that,
He
but I thought
implemented his
that
game plan
whatever.
better as the fight went
From a
on.
purist perspective, yeah.
Okay, sticking with the heavyweight division, this is my second hot take for you. John Jones is never going to be a champion again, even if he
Dude,
returns to the heavyweight division.
man, I don't. John Jones is like still. I don't think I've seen any fighter quite um quite the same as John Jones still, man. I don't
Okay,
think
but
so.
dude,
He's so good everywhere. First of all, he has a wrestling base. He has a wrestling base. He always has that in his
he
back
has a
pocket.
wrestling base. You're
But he
right.
won multiple fights through some of the most creative striking I've ever seen. It's not just the striking, it's not just the
Okay, but dude,
brutality,
hold
it's
on.
the creativity. It's the creativity he has in the cage. The ability to move through every range seamlessly and brutalize their opponent using every tool in the book. It's beautiful, man.
He had, dude. I will admit he has good creativity, but we have to take a look at the actual tangibles in this scenario. Okay, take a look at the last couple of guys he's faced: Thiago Santos, Dominic
Yeah.
Reyes.
No, it's
Both those
rough.
guys have gotten fucked since John Jones left. The level of competition has increased greatly, and heavyweight is no exception to that. Both Francis Ngannou and Ciryl Gane are some of the most well-rounded heavyweights and just like physical specimens at heavyweight that we've really ever seen. I think you can add Curtis Blades to that discussion as well. Um,
He's
Adding to
all,
the fact that John Jones
yeah,
was
Curse Blade is
looking
rough.
worse and worse, adding to the fact that he's taken what 2.5 years off now, plus the fact that his body is going to be unrecognizable.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. So here's what I'll say. I would say, like, yeah, he probably lost to Dominic Reyes, but I think Dominic Reyes looked insanely good that fight, and John, like, they both just looked really good that fight. Better than,
Right.
honestly, better than that light heavyweight fights that have come after that are
I mean, Dominic
that were
Reyes
the big
looked good
fights in the
against
division.
Yuri. Yuri's just crazy.
He did, yeah. Yuri just brought a lot of brutality. I think it was also, yeah, yes, but still, like, honestly, just the skill level of that fight, I think, was definitely higher than Yuri versus Glover, honestly. And just also just like the cardio of those two guys are better, so it makes them look way better in later rounds. But
Is
that's
John
I'm
Jones
getting
gonna
a
have the
little
same
sidetracked.
cardio? Yeah, heavyweight dude.
Exactly, yeah. So I will say, like, I don't actually hold the last two fights against John Jones that much. However, yes, he was dominating in a different era. He was dominating in an era where he was probably a generation ahead of his competition. But
Right.
even if okay, so if he's a generation ahead, now we're the next generation. So what happens? The fights get way closer, and that's just the symptom of the longevity he's had in the sport, how early he started. Also, the fact that he's moving up to heavyweight, he's not used to this weight class. He's not used to the power it's going to have. Not used to his own body, and the just the movement of John Jones, the flow he had in the cage. That's going to be
It's the
altered when he's
flow.
heavier. Exactly, dude. He's not going to move as well. He's not going to move as seamlessly. I don't see him beating. I don't even see him beating Curtis Blades, much less Ciryl Gane.
I think he
But he
could beat
might beat Francis
Stipe,
Ngannou just because of styles. He could beat Stipe as well, but that's also because Stipe's over the hill. Like, I don't think
but that would,
a win
dude,
over
that'd actually
Stipe
be a
beats Blades.
sweet fight. I would love to see that
It
fight.
would be a sweet fight, and I understand why the UFC is targeting it so much. It is
Yeah.
just the best fight you can put on a heavyweight for those two guys.
Right.
It maximizes what those two guys can do in the cage. That's the thing. Like, against no other competition will those two guys look as good.
Um.
Obviously, we'll see if it happens.
Other
But
point is like
champion, that'll mean he has to beat Ciryl Gane. That'll mean he has to beat Curtis Blades. I think Francis Ngannou is actually a really good style for John Jones.
to beat
I
John
will say
Jones or to lose to John Jones.
to lose to John Jones. I think John Jones is favored over Francis Ngannou.
Yeah,
Um,
Francis, like he would have to work on his clinch game a lot. I feel like
oh yeah,
if he can
exactly. I
hurt
just
John
don't
Jones,
see
then John
Francis
Jones like
landing. I think Francis' shots are still just a little slow and telegraphed, and I don't think John Jones is going to give him his looping shots, which are his best shots.
right.
His straights aren't accurate enough.
But if
So,
he can stuff takedowns and deal some significant damage up against the cage,
oh yeah,
like with
yeah.
elbows or
But yes,
something,
the wrestling is definitely a new aspect of Ngannou's game. So I mean, I
right?
still wouldn't even count Ngannou out. I'm just saying, the striking I don't think is going to be favored for him.
I mean, stylistically, I think you're right. He is probably the easiest matchup.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Like,
so. But I still understand why the UFC is making Stipe instead, because the thing is, if Francis wins, it's gonna look like one sided. It's gonna mean he's just like
yeah,
dominating him against the fence or on the ground, just clench work or just wrestling. It's gonna look super one sided, and it's gonna be like, why did you move up to heavyweight? That's what the narrative would be like. Why
right.
did this guy move? He doesn't belong here. But
Okay,
I don't.
dude,
Stipe is a
this
smaller
isn't
heavyweight.
like
Makes sense.
an official hot take, but this is just something I've been thinking about that's kind of a hot take. Dude, I was listening to an interview with John Jones's coach, and he's like, the UFC needs to pay this man. Him versus Ngannou would be like one of the biggest fights ever. And John Jones is and always will be regarded as the greatest ever. This is my hot take. MMA fans today don't give a shit about John Jones.
Well,
When
yeah, they
people got
don't.
in during the pandemic era, which is a lot of
Exactly.
MMA fans, there is a lot of turnover in MMA. People
Ton of
don't know
terror.
about
It's
John
a young
Jones.
sport.
They don't care enough to go back and look at the annals of what's happened in MMA history. They're like,
I
who
think
is
you have to
this
be a pretty
guy?
hardcore fan to do that. Like, in general, even if you got into MMA in the pandemic, most people are just like, let me watch the pay-per-view fights, let me watch the big stuff. Oh,
Right.
I heard Masvidal's fighting, like this type of thing. It's not like,
They see
let
what's
me go
trending on
back and
Twitter.
look at these past champions. For sure. I mean, there's no question. Like, people are moving on from John Jones. That's just the curse of any champion, I guess. But of any like past goat. But I mean, it's a little bit of the fact that the MMA community, the analysts surrounding MMA, don't like to talk about John Jones that much.
I don't know. I feel like
Everyone's
they
a
like to
little
talk
ashamed
about
of
him a
John
lot.
Jones, huh?
I feel like the MMA community's still kind of stuck up on him, like stuck up on him a lot. But just the further he
Uh,
stays away, the worse his chances are that he returns.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And like, also, I do think it would be a big fight. I do think John Jones versus Ngannou is a big fight, but I don't think it's as big as maybe his coach is selling it. Like, not that I don't think that they should get paid. I think they should get paid plenty. I think there's money for it. I do think they're underpaid, like regardless of
Right.
how much they sell. Like even at the correct level they're selling, I think they're getting underpaid. But I don't think it's a huge fight or anything. Actually wouldn't even expect that pay per view to be that popular. It's just like no one cares. No one and Francis Ngannou doesn't promote himself as much either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I
I
mean,
mean, he was on the
not it's not,
UFC
not that it's their
broadcast last
job.
week.
I mean, if the UFC's big selling point is we promote you well, and so we pay you less, but you have a bigger platform here, so the UFC should promote them. But
Right.
whatever.
I know. But like the thing is, they're not gonna, even if they should be promoting Ngannou, like they shouldn't necessarily be promoting John Jones that much, without a guarantee that he's gonna be coming back to fight.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm saying if the fight were scheduled, and like they were building towards it,
Yeah.
and the UFC promoted that fight the way they normally promote fights, I don't think it would be a super successful pay per view. That being said, it would be one of the few pay per views I would buy. I mean, like the, I would pay for that one.
Okay, but let me ask you this:
That's a matchup.
John Jones versus Stipe, Ngannou, or Gane. Ngannou's the worst matchup, and like stylistically entertaining wise, right?
How on earth is John Jones beat Ciryl Gane? He has no tools. He
But
has
it'd
no
still
tools in
be
that matchup.
interesting to watch because he could get the takedown on him.
Yeah, he could get the takedown, but I mean, just I think the problem is just that Cyril's distance management is too good, and that's gonna stop a lot of takedown opportunities. On top of the fact
Well,
that I don't
yeah.
even know if John Jones is capable of takedowns in a heavyweight.
Okay,
Like
but
is he getting a
can
takedown
you
in
admit
heavyweight?
that John Jones versus Ngannou is just a 25-minute clinch fest?
Yeah, probably a lot of clenching. Yeah, I don't think it's that entertaining of a fight because Ngannou's path to victory makes only involves just
I mean, that's why I
a
say
lot of
Ngannou, or that's why I say Jones
control and stuff.
versus Gane or Jones versus Stipe is so much more
Oh, for
entertaining.
sure, for sure. Those are the entertainment factor wise.
Yeah,
Those are
that's
the
what I
best
meant.
fights. Those are great fights. I Stipe is still the best fight because I think you'll get a true full mixed martial arts fights
Right.
against two relatively
And
evenly
one of
matched
guys
guys.
getting finished.
Dude, one thing I've realized in MMA is it's not even the skills that make fights entertaining. It's actually parity that makes fights entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's what like 90% of the matchmaker's job is.
I know. I mean, that's why that's why I fucking hate some of the matchmaking. Because the matchmaking designed around promoting fighters, like building them up, throws parity out the window. And so you just get boring fights. You just get fights like that are shitty dominations, like just they look too easy. That's why everyone's favorites fights of the nights, like the best performance of the night or whatever, they're always
Right.
like prelim fights with like Julian Erosa versus some other unranked featherweight. Because they have parity, like Julian Erosa versus,
Hakeem
that Julian
Duwadu.
Erosa 2.0 or whatever. There's parity fights.
So are
They
you
just like
saying you're
bomb.
not interested in Jailton Almeida versus Anton Turkalaj?
Dude, what are the odds on that? It's probably like minus 1,000.
I
Like,
don't fucking know.
well,
Okay,
what's
but
the?
dude,
I don't know. It's
by
kind
that
of fun. It's
logic,
kind of
you
funny, but
dude, by the parody logic, you cannot complain about Jake Collier versus Chris Barnett.
okay, fine. Two things: parity and cardio. You have to last more than a round.
Okay, fair enough. Dude, I don't even think Chris Barnett lasts more than a round. But maybe I'm just short selling him. Okay, dude.
Yeah, no. I mean, he lasted like maybe 2 rounds last fight.
Changing gears here and looking a little bit to the future, but still kind of staying within this pound for pound rankings. If Islam beats Charles Oliveira, he belongs in the top 5, and I would argue top 3 pound for pound.
Dude, I mean, okay, we have to go back to the question I always ask you. What do you mean pound for pound? Skills or record? Skills or
A mix
resume?
of both.
I know, okay, fine, but like, what would you weigh? Like 60%, 40%? What would you put the 60%?
I would say I think how the UFC has it now is record more than skills.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Record
agree.
way more valued than
Wait,
skills.
wait.
So I'd say like 65
Charles Oliveira's number
35.
3 pound for pound? That's a little surprising to me, actually. Um,
Dude, he has a pretty good record. He has a lot of good
yeah,
names, bro.
but he only has 3 title defenses compared to Kamaru Usman. I mean, I guess Kamaru Usman just lost the title. I mean, that makes sense. Um,
3 title defenses. Yeah. Wait.
yeah.
No, he doesn't. He only has 2. 3 title wins. He only defended against Gaethje and Poirier.
Yeah, you're right. I thought you were gonna say that Gaethje
Because
wasn't the title fighter or whatever.
Habib had 3
Yeah,
title
no, no, okay.
defenses, so he has like he's tied for the record right now.
There's only 3. Fuck, that's so bad. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, dude, he didn't. Dude, probably not, dude. Because, dude, his record before the title
Okay,
fight
just for
isn't
reference, Leon
great.
Edwards is ranked number 6 right now.
Yeah, it's true. His record before his title win wasn't great either. But then again, he knocked out Kamaru Usman, which is pound for pound number 1, so it helps him a bit more.
Okay, yeah.
But Islam, not a great record before this title fight. Charles Oliveira is going to be an amazing win, but if it happens, which I think it will. But
Okay, but you can agree with me top 5 for sure.
yeah, they'll put him. Are they going to give him top 5? Dude, Michael Chandler. Oh no, sorry, that's lightweight rankings.
I was gonna say if Michael Chandler is pound for pound, someone's like getting sucked off by Michael Chandler.
Dude, why would he be above Aljamain Sterling? Tell me that.
Because he's more popular than Aljamain Sterling.
Okay, but no, but record-wise, why would he be popular? Like,
Oh,
Aljo has a
record
better record
wise.
pre-title, and then he beat Piotr Jan. He beat him. Like, he
Yeah,
actually
he beat
legitimately beat
him.
him.
But you
So,
have to factor in skills a bit. I mean, I feel like a win over Charles Oliveira and the skills that Islam has is worth
dude,
more.
but here's the thing. Dude, honestly, like, skills never gets factored into
I
these
mean, they're more
things.
subjective. Dude, it's factored in a little bit. Like, Max Holloway, John Jones, well, I guess I don't know how.
But John Jones, okay, but John Jones has like 13 title defenses. And
It's just like
like
popular guys
it is just popular guy at the end of the day, but
and the
it's
champions.
it's interesting. Like I don't see how they would put him above Aljo.
Dude, they put Leon Edwards above Aljo.
Yeah, that's fine. Aljo has 1 title defense, but really just a 1 title, not really just 0 title defenses. And
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
guess
they're
you
both
can
yeah. That
technically
makes
use
that
one.
makes sense to me. That makes sense to me because they both basically just have just won their title and they're going into their first title defense.
Okay, but they could put him above Ngannou. Bump
But
Ngannou down to.
Ngannou's been. They could put him above Ngannou. I mean, Ngannou has won complete defense against a really, really good guy, like number 1 in his division, and he had
Right.
a really good record before the title, before he won the title. He beat like Curtis Blades twice. He beat
Yeah, you're right.
Rosenstrike.
Curtis
He
Blades
beat
is a good win.
Lewis. So like it makes sense to me, but like Islam's record is kind of a
Okay,
blank so far,
okay,
to be
why is
honest.
Ngannou ranked number 5? Like, among all of the champions. I guess just because he beat
Well, because
Stipe?
he he beat Stipe, who was branded as a heavyweight goat. Just saying. And before that, he had Rosenstrike. He had Overeem. He had Curtis Blade twice. He had Derek Lewis, which is kind of a wash, but whatever. Like, he is.
Dude, he didn't beat
He's
Derek Lewis.
he has actually almost like he's beat all the top guys in his division. almost.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
mean
kind
you're
of
right. That's a good point.
basically okay, if you want to look at it pound for pound, are they champ, number of title defenses, and number of people in the top 15 that they've already beaten. That'll like get you most of the way there. But like Islam, not a champ, no title defenses right now. Once he's champ, zero title defenses, and then the only guy he'll have beaten in who's ranked is Oliveira. Judover isn't ranked. Dan Hooker might still be ranked, but like he's leaving the
It is
rankings pretty soon.
interesting that Leon Edwards went from not on the pound for pound list to beating the number one guy to number six, and then
That makes great sense to
Usman
me.
dropped
Like,
down to four.
hmm?
So Usman dropped down from one to four, and the guy that beat him is ranked below him.
Yeah, but that's fine. That still makes sense to me. That's
Okay,
fine.
but
Like,
dude, skill wise, how do you rank him?
oh, dude, skill wise, they put him like number one. I actually think no one can skill wise, dude. I don't think that the mixture of judo and sambo and a little bit of BJJ has been seen in the UFC yet. Honestly,
What?
besides Khabib, dude, like the way Islam grapples is like the best.
Dude,
Is straight
Habib
up
is,
the best.
or just Islam is way better judo than Habib,
Way better
or at
judo.
least he
And
utilizes it
that's
more.
way more. And judo, dude, I think we're gonna come to see. I think as MMA develops more, we'll come to see judo is gonna be like up there with wrestling. That's actually one of my predictions.
It's
Because,
gonna be
dude,
what?
what's a better way? First of all, because, dude, here's the thing. Now we're seeing how powerful the cage is and how important it is to know how to fight against the cage.
Dude, gets mind blown.
I
Dude,
know.
you're
And
right.
two, what's the best way of getting a takedown? The best takedowns in
Trips.
MMA are judo trips. They're
Yeah.
all judo trips because they're the most energy efficient. And then you have the energy remaining
You don't
to
have to
get an
worry about
efficient,
knees.
quick takedown and have top control the rest of the round. Like,
Dude, just look at Nathaniel Wood versus Charles Jourdain. That guy was getting like fucking judo trips every
exactly,
time he
dude.
breathed.
The only moment Leon had was a trip. I mean, I don't know if all this is like judo necessarily. I'm sure some of these are wrestling techniques too, and it melds together. But like, I'm just saying, we're gonna see like judo become
Dude, I've never
really,
liked
really, really
takedowns in
important.
MMA. Unless you can like time them perfectly and like split their timing like what Whitaker does to Vittori. It's just so dangerous. You're putting your head in like a perfect position to choke it,
I
to
know, dude.
uppercut, to knee it. Plus
Dude,
sprawling has
plus
gotten
they
so
take
much
so
better.
long. You go for a takedown. The whole sequence, back and forth, can take like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes,
Right.
especially when they have the cage to like slow it down and then go to their knee. And like it takes a long time to even get there. And
Honestly,
once you
dude,
get to the ground, you don't have enough time to do anything.
I feel
Grappling
like
is
the
grappling is
most
slow, man. Grappling is slow. Like jujitsu rounds are 5 minutes with the assumption you're going to grapple already. But you have to add in the barrier of getting to the grappling stage.
right.
It's too much. Like it's just way too little time
I feel
to
like
take a competent anti-wrestler down, like take a competent guy with competent takedown defense down and be effective with it. If you
yeah,
actually want to do something with your takedown, it needs to be quick and efficient.
I know.
It like
Yeah, I
pound
feel
for
like the
pound, dude.
most
Yeah,
utility you
skills.
could get out of your takedown, or reasonably hope to get out of your takedown, like if you're an average takedown guy versus an average takedown defense guy, the most utility you should hope to get out of your takedown is to level change in order to get in on the guy and clinch with him. Because then if you're initiating the clinch, you're more likely winning that exchange in the judge's eyes.
Yeah, and then you can decide when to break,
Right.
and you can control.
And then
Plus,
you can
you
go for
give the guy
judo
something to worry
trips.
about. Yeah, and then also just the fact that people should be using unsuccessful takedown attempts more to
Right.
land elbows off the break or just feint takedown attempts in between combinations to land strikes.
Okay, dude.
But yeah,
Uh
anyway, pound for pound, he's number one, dude. I think he's better than Khabib. I think he's better than Khabib skill wise.
yeah, dude. I mean, I might have
I
to agree with you there. The one skill that I would rate him lower than Habib in is ground and pound. but that's because
It's
he
like
has
the
better
most
submissions.
irrelevant one though. MMA, the
Yeah,
way MMA is set up, it's the most
Khabib literally is the
irrelevant.
best ground and pound that we've ever seen in this sport, and Islam's just worse at him. So it's not a knock on him at all. Okay, dude. Speaking of pound for pound, do you have the list in front of you?
Yep.
Give me your top. If you could choose, if you could actually like make all of these guys the same size, give me your top pound for pound matchups. So like, give me your top three or
Yeah,
three
sure.
pound for pound matchups that you'd love to see just stylistically.
I wanted to see. Only so Islam isn't even on here yet.
Yeah, Islam.
I
You
want to
can't do
see.
Islam.
Dude, why isn't Robert Whitaker on the? Why is Dustin Poirier in the pound for pound, but not Robert Whitaker? That kind of
It's
annoys
just
me.
because Poirier's in lightweight, and I think he's more popular. I really think that's it.
Yeah, he is more popular, but I think Whitaker is better than Poirier pound for pound. Actually, I 100% think Whitaker is better than
No,
Poirier
dude,
pound
I
for pound.
definitely agree with you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's kind of annoying. Let's see. What would I want to see? I want to see Charles
Dude,
Oliveira
there's kind of
versus.
some snoozers on this pound for pound list.
Dude, yeah, there are some. Dude, actually, it would be. You know what would be a really interesting fight? It might even happen for real. Adesanya versus Yuri Prohaska. Like chaos versus just like the
Chaos
most
versus calm.
like stable striker
Dude,
ever.
this is like some fucking anime shit right now. It's like you've got the fire versus the water.
Yeah,
He's
exactly. You
like
got
doing
fire versus
fluid
water
motions, and you're just like,
right there.
"Argh." That would be good,
That's
dude.
exactly it, dude.
Man, yeah, I don't know, dude. Okay, Brandon Moreno versus Charles Oliveira. That'd be a sick fight.
Dude, you can't go wrong with a lot of these. I mean, uh,
Okay, Izzy versus
yeah, that is
Charles.
good.
Test Izzy's takedown defense.
But dude, Charles isn't even like the best wrestler for that.
I
If you
know,
actually
but
want
like
to
he
test
also
his
has the
takedown defense, put
jujitsu,
him
so he
against
has
John
some
Jones.
unorthodox like entrances into the grappling department.
I don't see it. I actually don't. I don't think his wrestling is great. It's not good enough.
Dude, it's not great, but like he can pull
I just
guard. Izzy's
like
never been
I think
pulling
Israel's
good
takedown defense
guard.
is really really good. Like the way he's stuffed.
Okay, but dude,
Yeah.
counterpoint to that, Izzy's takedown defense or like wrestling defense is the classic turn your back, stand up. Remember how many times Robert Whitaker got a body lock on Izzy during his last fight?
Yeah, yeah, he does turn his back when.
If he does that
Yeah,
against Oliveira, he's actually fucked.
but I think he's also doing that because he evaluates that Robert Whitaker's
I mean, that's true.
submissions aren't great. Like you should
I
be
mean,
turning your
dude,
back
that's true,
when
but
you're
what else would he
confident you
have
can defend
done?
submissions. That's the most efficient way of getting up.
But like, what else would he, if he's like, oh, Whitaker has good submissions. I'm not going to
I
turn my
mean,
back.
he
What does
swept
he do
Marvin
then?
Vettori. He won't be able to do that to Charles Oliveira, but he did sweep Marvin Vettori once. He has other ways of getting up, man. He's so lanky. He's just like got the fucking
I mean, he
noodle
reversed
legs,
Vittori,
dude. The
right?
noodle legs help you
Dude,
so
Vittori
much.
took his back.
Flexibility. Hmm?
Vittori took his back, and then he switched. He reversed it because he was.
Did Vettori get his back?
Yeah,
Really? I
Vittori
don't
was on
remember
his
that.
back, and then Izzy turned around in his guard and like ended up in Vittori's guard. But
Oh, really?
he had Izzy's
That's
back.
funny.
I actually
I
think
mean,
Izzy
I
like.
do think once it hits the ground, I would heavily favor Oliveira. I just
Well,
think
I
it's
think
hard to
Oliveira
do
just
that. It's
punches his
really
way
hard.
into the clinch, and then like fucks him up in the clinch. Dude, the thing is, have we ever seen Izzy do good clinch work other than takedown defense and like breaking grips and getting away?
Dude, yeah, actually, that's what I was thinking about the other day too. Like, it's surprising how little like effective clinch work we see from Izzy. With his Muay Thai background, I would think it's like he would have really good clinch work.
I mean, dude, I feel like Oliveira would fuck him up in the clinch.
But I also haven't seen him clinch that much
I
necessarily.
mean, we
But I
saw
guess
it
he
a
did
lot against
against that
Cannonier.
when has his back to the fence. He just like creates stalemates a lot.
Yeah, we see it like against Cannonier and Vittori and shit, where
Yeah,
he's just defending
even we saw it against
takedowns.
Whitaker too. Just like the stalemates he creates against the fence. But yeah, I would. That's actually interesting. I would have expected him to have better tools offensively when he's getting clinched against the fence.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But dude, I would just say John Jones. Dude, Izzy actually has Thing is, even if you hate on Izzy, the matchups with Izzy are always the most interesting.
Right, yeah,
Because it's
I
like who
agree.
can penetrate the style. The style is so difficult to
It's just
beat.
that there's no one in middleweight that can penetrate that
No
style.
one can win. What can do? When
It's like
John Jones,
people
dude,
can try
John
to
Jones with
match
me,
it, like Bahera with the striking and Whitaker with the kickboxing.
dude, you just need someone with the striking prowess to make it difficult for Izzy to only focus on defending takedowns. It can't just be a singular game plan going in. That's
Yeah.
why John Jones, bro. John Jones versus Izzy.
God damn, dude, John Jones is still ranked number 12. Um, Piotr
They'll
Yan
keep him
versus
out there.
Kamaru
Dude,
Usman.
he's still like a somewhat big name, though. I think like a lot of people just kind of know the name John Jones.
I'm
Like,
just talking about newer fans.
but yeah, yeah,
Okay,
it makes
Piotr
sense
Yan
why they.
versus Usman
Huh?
for like fantasy matchups. Usman versus Yan.
Oh, that is a sick matchup. 5 round cardio. Because dude, both of their best tools are cardio.
I
That
think
is a
Yan would
great
win that,
matchup.
dude. I actually really think he'd win.
I mean, he's a really good anti-wrestler style.
Dude, Usman gets a little chinny, and we've seen it in multiple of his fights. He's lost to Colby in the later rounds in their second fight. He lost to Leon
I'm
Edwards.
surprised at how like panicky he gets when he starts getting landed on. He
Yeah,
just like he doesn't
he
have
kind
good
of shuts down.
retrieving or defensive ability when he starts getting landed. If you land like the first punch of your combination, you land all the punches in your combination
Okay, dude,
with Usman.
I didn't I didn't take this as a clip. I have one clip that I want to show you. But I was listening to Usman on Joe Rogan, and Usman's like, that was the
Oh, I
first
gotta
time
listen
I've
to that.
got dropped in a fight was the Edwards kick. And Rogan's like, really? He's like, well, what about against Gilbert Burns? And he's like, oh yeah, I got hit hard, but I was just putting my hand on the ground not because I was dropped, but because I was trying to get a better look at what Gilbert Burns was doing. I'm like, no, dude, you got dropped.
What? What do you
Yeah, he
what?
said something like, "Oh, I just put my hand on the ground to like steady myself so I could better prepare for what's coming next."
I mean,
Maybe I
whatever. I
should
guess
have
his
taken
butt,
the
his
clip,
butt
but
maybe didn't hit the floor, but he got badly wobbled. Like, what's the difference at that point? He got almost finished.
I know.
No. I did watch this clip. Like just Usman addresses PD allegations or whatever on from Joe
Dude, it
Rogan.
sounded so cheesy, dude.
Well, dude, you know what I don't get? Why do fighters, when they start talking about steroids, they're like, "What? Steroids? What's a steroid? What's a what? What do you call them?
Steroid? You
Peds?
mean
P E?
stairs?
What?
Well, dude,
Where do
what
you?
was
What do
so
you take a
suspicious to
pill?
me
You
is
inject? Like, dude.
if
Okay, even if you don't take steroids, you can't tell me you're like the number one fighter on the planet and you don't know about steroids. If you're a professional athlete, you
yeah.
know about steroids.
Well,
It is
like,
common. Dude, I know about steroids just tangentially from lifting. Like, come on, man.
dude, yeah,
Come on. Who are
who
you?
was saying like, "Oh, Rogan's like, oh, well, apparently the EPO leaves your system quick." And Usman's like, "Why would Ali know about that?" Well, dude, the sketchiest. I actually wanted to like. I was thinking about talking about this with you, but Rogan starts bringing up steroids. I forget how it got brought up, but as soon as the subject, as soon as it gets on the topic, at first they were like, "Oh, if you just looked at you, like there's a picture of you where he's like sitting on the cage, like flexing his abs and shit."
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, "Oh, if people just looked at you, they'd say that you were on steroids." And then
Yeah,
Rogan's like,
yeah.
"Oh, but genetics are a thing. Like you probably
Him
just have really
telling-
good genetics." And then immediately Usman's like, "Yeah, and there's this guy on YouTube that said I was on steroids, and he like
Yeah, yeah.
talks about these marks that I have on my stomach, and he gets so defensive so quickly." I'm like, "Okay, dude, he wasn't accusing you. You didn't have to like launch into this diatribe." And he's like, "Well, they were just
Yeah.
moles, and then the doctor like blanched them
Oh,
off, and
yeah,
then
yeah, exactly. That clip like gets into this super long-winded story about how like his
dude, just
doctor
say you
frees
don't
off
take
his
them,
bone or
bro.
something. It's
You
like,
don't have to like preemptively come
dude,
out with a defense on why you have track marks on your stomach."
dude, people, I don't know. People are just so out of touch with what the human body is supposed to look like. Like, if you were that shredded, bro, you wouldn't even be able to get out of bed and go for a run. dude, you'd be like sleeping 12 hours a day, like super low energy, super low everything. Like it's not possible without steroids to both be that fucking ripped, like such low body fat, and perform at the highest level, like 5 rounds of MMA, the most grueling sport in the world. Like, dude, it's like it's not even their bodies; it's just like their performance with how their bodies look. It's just off the charts.
Dude, I want to compile a list of Brett Okamoto asking like stupid fucking questions. I
Dude.
wanted to like compile a list to show you, cause god damn, bro, I tried listening to both his Hamza Chimaev interview and his Nate Diaz interview, and I couldn't get past the first like 2 minutes. He's so bad.
Dude.
He's like, "Oh, Hamzat, is this like a big fight for you?" He's like, "I don't care, brother." He's like, "Okay, yeah, but it's Nate Diaz, so is it like a really big fight for you?" He's like, "I don't give a fuck, brother." It's like, "Okay, but are you sure?" It's like, Brett, shut the fuck up. Just like let Hamzat talk. That'd be if you just like put one of those like magic
Put a
eight
mic
balls in
on him
front of
and just
him.
like left him in the room.
Yeah, if you if you just like put a magic eight ball in front of him and left him in a room to play with it, that'd be a better interview than you. It's like he's like asking him leading questions, trying to get a specific answer that he wants, but they're the fucking blandest answers you can think of. It's like I don't know, dude. He's actually just like on like a wet paper bag has more charisma than him.
Dude, he's terrible. He's actually terrible.
He's actually terrible. But
Did
I
I?
do have one clip that I want to show you.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, sure.
we're gonna do this. This is a new segment I've been thinking of. Let me see. I'll share my screen with you. This segment is called Badass or Flat Ass. Do you think do you think that it's a badass reply or do you think that it's a response that falls flat?
All right,
Okay?
go
And
for it.
hopefully you can hear it. I think you should be able to. Well, if you can't, I'll just replay it.
Last question for me. The
Yep.
discussion seems to be that early, you're the dominant force, but if this goes later, it's trouble for you because he last there. Do you
If
agree
it
with
goes
that?
2 hours, I don't care, brother. I'm gonna take his head, like, what are you gonna do? Like, like guy 170, I did fight like, I can fight at heavyweight as well. So I don't think so. That guy gonna survive 1 round. We'll see. I hope he can survive like 5 rounds. It's good for him, show his heart, and go away from the UFC being like a warrior. If I beat him in first round, everyone's gonna say, yeah, the guy is too old. Yeah. Uncle Diaz gonna have to go home.
Hamzat.
Okay, so it's a little hard to make out. But
Yeah, I was having trouble hearing it, but I did watch this interview already, so I know what you're talking about.
so yeah,
And honestly, I'll say like this is one of the very first combat replies for me that fell a little flat. Fell a little flat for me.
dude, I thought it was pretty good. So first of all, I thought the question was like uniquely stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, if people are saying that you're gonna win, but if it goes later, Nate Diaz might win, and then Hamzat's like, I hope that he does survive 5 rounds because otherwise, if I finish him like I want to, people are gonna say that he's old. I want him to, and they're gonna tell him to go home.
Actually, it's pretty good. Actually, that's kind of a good point.
He's like, if it goes five
Maybe.
rounds, then he's gonna be able to go off and do boxing and other stuff. So I hope it's just reminiscent of
Strategic.
Shevchenko. Like, oh, I hope that they are confident that they're gonna win.
True. Yeah, he does. He's I guess saying like he wants his opponent to come in like as the original Nate Diaz, not like whatever kind of this perception of him as being over the
I don't
hill.
even think he's saying that. I think he's like wanting to just beat the shit out of him, but saying like he should hope that it goes 5 rounds because otherwise people are gonna say he's like sucks.
I just thought there was too much like I don't really care. I don't really care. Like yeah, okay, it's fine. I mean, it's a dumb question, fair enough, but like,
But dude,
uh,
also Also, cutting off the dumb question with, I can go 2 hours, it'll be fine. Pretty good. Pretty good response to a stupid question like that.
I do like how Kamzat kind of punishes dumb questions in a sense. Like you have to ask him an interesting question. You have to craft a good question to get an answer out of Kamzat. Because
And he'll
otherwise,
be
just like
like pretty
talking to a
thoughtful.
wall. Hmm?
He'll be pretty thoughtful.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to like craft a good question for him to actually think about and answer. And then
Yeah.
when you do that, he actually answers well. Like it's stupid when it's just like a dumb question, no one cares, and then it's like,
I know,
yeah.
dude. If I hear another reporter asking, "Oh, is this the biggest fight of your career?" I'm gonna like just start disliking all of their videos. But I'll
Rogan,
just like call them out and then bash them on my
dude,
platform that I'm creating. It's actually one
dude,
of the
my
stupidest fucking.
least
It's like,
favorite.
no, this one's actually not that big. Last fight was way bigger.
He always asks like, "How are you feeling? Like, what's going through your head?" What the? I don't fucking know what's going through my head. I'm just getting to this interview. Like, no fighter's gonna answer that question with a good answer.
I know, yeah. No one's
Dude,
gonna be
dude, the
honest with
worst
it
is
at all.
like the press conferences after Dana White Contender Series episodes, and John Morgan will ask like the most softball, like validating
Dude, that's how he
questions
got to be
ever.
called first every fucking press conference.
But dude, I didn't realize he had to like suck up to Dana. Like he basically just like validates all of Dana's decisions on who he signs
It's like,
by asking him questions leading questions about how it was a good decision. Or just like talk
yeah, I
about your
know.
decision and like
It's
talk
like,
about how good
Dana,
you
you're
are.
looking very sexy today. Any muscle oil you're using?
I know, it's like I fucking hate it, dude. That guy is fucking pissing me off. Whatever,
Well,
dude.
he's
What can you
just like
expect
the
from him?
perfect example of what's wrong with MMA media.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like they're not even no one who's like even moderately contentious is even allowed to ask questions. It's
Yeah.
like at this point, I've been watching it long enough that I can tell the reporters who like carefully like that one old guy from Yahoo Sports or whatever, Kevin Iole, he'll
Oh
like
yeah.
every like 3 months he'll ask a contentious question and the rest will just be like softballs.
Right.
But he'll like try to sneak one in there every once in a while.
I mean, the last example I can remember of that is that guy who asked that one fighter against like Daniel Kinahan.
I don't remember
It's
what.
like this Daniel Kinahan like sponsors a lot of fighters basically, and he's like on a
Okay.
U.S. terrorist list basically. And one
What?
guy one guy called him out as thanks. I think it was this fighter making his UFC debut, and then this reporter went after him in the post fight press conference, and everyone's like, "Yeah, go reporter." But the other example is like Luke Rockhold calling out a reporter for giving Cheeto Vera a luchador mask when Cheeto Vera is Ecuadorian and not Mexican. And then the reporter's like, "Well, did you watch my other interviews with Cheeto? Cheeto and I actually really get along well." It's like, dude, can you? Like that's an example where you shouldn't push back on the fighters at all. Like just fucking take your beats. You don't have to fucking defend your honor as a reporter
Yeah.
of like cultural misappropriation.
Yeah, whatever, man. Yeah, I don't know.
I
Yeah.
know, dude.
It's especially annoying to me because like they have fighters with a lot of personality. Like Nate Diaz's interview, I love the awkwardness of his
No,
interviews.
I
I
haven't
love
seen
the
it yet.
feeling. Oh, it's great. But like if you just think a little bit, like prepare a little bit, prepare a little bit some questions you can ask Nate Diaz that you're gonna get some good responses from him. Instead of just, just boring. Like he just
Yeah.
gets bored and then he just yeah.
It's like they'll either ask the same old boring questions or they'll be like, "Oh, is that a new tattoo? Is that it's
Yeah,
like, are you a
exactly.
how's your kid
Exactly.
doing? Do you have a baby now that you like?" So
It's gonna be
stupid.
like, how does that change your mindset going into this fight? Dude, I'm a father now. I have to make more money. That's how I changed my mindset.
uh, all right, dude. Before I let Before we call this podcast,
All right, last one.
I need your predictions for the main and co-main event for next week.
Dude,
Li Jingliang.
once again, some one-sided. Like last week was super one-sided, main and co-main. This week, once again,
This week it's
super
almost
one-sided.
more one-sided.
This week, yeah, somehow we got even. Dude, yeah, it's actually crazy. Somehow we got even more one-sided fights.
I
But
mean,
yeah, I
god
mean,
damn, dude, I am kind of sick of it. You're right. You're right in
this,
calling it out.
parity is the most important, man.
Okay, but
Parity is
dude,
the most
Kevin Holland
important.
versus D-Rod.
That's like the real main event, bro. That's the people's main event.
It's a good main event. All right, give me your prediction for that one too.
All right, I got Kevin Holland though for Kevin Holland versus
By
D-Rod.
decision.
Actually,
I want your full prediction.
I think no, I think D-Rod's really hard to knock out. Yeah, I'll go away decision. D-Rod's really hard to finish.
Yeah, I was originally leaning towards D-Rod, but he looked kind of bad in his interview, his pre-fight interview this week. And
Oh
also,
yeah,
it's been a really long time off for him. And we
it
also
has
have to look at
been.
the
His
level of
last fight was
competition he's
Kevin Lee, right?
faced. What?
His last fight was Kevin Lee, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a bit.
which is like,
And Kevin Holland, I mean, he's also has been fighting as frequently, but I think he's just so crisp. His striking has gotten really crisp, and I think he's better at not giving up his hips anymore for takedowns. But I don't think D-Rod's going to take advantage of that anyway, even if it did happen. So
plus
I just
Kevin
think
Holland could grapple
Kevin
as
Holland's
well.
striking is way better. It's way more. It's so accurate. And he's got better distance because he has longer reach, and I think he'll just snipe from the outside.
I just want to see Kevin Holland maybe put on a little bit more muscle because when he gets hit, he seems like he's moving from it a little bit too much. Like he's not as solid as I'd like him to be. And that might just
Oh yeah,
be due to a lack of defense, but like you remember the Alex Oliveira fight against Cowboy? He was like kind of getting hit a lot and like leg kicked
yeah,
a
he
lot.
was.
Like it took him a while to find his range and rhythm.
Kind of surprised they cut Alex Oliveira. I feel like he still showed up.
Yeah, he did, but I don't know, he's getting older. All right, Li Jingliang versus Tony F. Give it to me.
The Leech, so one of the hardest hitters at welterweight, just looked really good recently too. His Ponzinibbio fight was really good, and
Santiago Ponzinibbio, he lost to Neil Magny, and then he knocked out Santiago, lost to Hamzat, and then knocked out Muslim Salikov.
oh yeah, I didn't watch that fight.
And his
How did he
knockout
look in
against
that fight?
Muslim Salikov was really impressive.
Yeah, I
He
knew
was
it was a
he was
knockout.
kind of point fighting a bit in the first round, or I wouldn't say point fighting. The one problem that I had with the Leech is it looked like he was going for the knockout too much, and
Yeah,
the reason
I
I
can
say
see
that is
that.
because his output was just so low. But my biggest credit that I'll give him is once he hurt Muslim Salikov, his finishing capabilities were actually like extremely impressive. He hurt him and then he just walked him down until he finished him.
Yeah, it makes sense. I
So
mean, yeah,
yeah,
it's like with Tony, I just think it's the same thing we've been saying every single fight. Like the basics are what prevent the basics are what keep you winning when you lose your
I
athleticism and
know.
your speed and all
It's
that, and
like
all that shit.
it really
The
feels like
basics are what keep you going. But like he never had any basics, and
well, it
now
seems like that's
that
what he's
his
working
speed
on
is falling
now,
apart.
right?
Hmm?
It seems like that's what he's working on now, like training
Yeah,
at
it's a little
Jackson
bit.
Wink,
I think it's a
training with
little bit
Freddie
late to
Roach.
start working on your basics. To be fair, he looked kind of good against Chandler for a
Well,
bit.
yeah, that's why I say that's what he's been working on, but I still don't know if it's enough, right? Like Tony's a
Yeah,
wild guy. Maybe he can pick it up, but
but I mean, even against Chandler, he still just got level changed and taken down.
I mean, he
I
just
mean,
didn't have the striking
that fight was
defense.
a really difficult fight. Chandler was a really really difficult fight, but I don't really see how the Leech is any better. That's what I don't get. Like, if you want to keep stepping down the ladder, I just I don't see what the Leech is doing that what Chandler was doing that the Leech can't really do. I mean, he's what he loses in speed compared to Michael Chandler and explosiveness, he just makes up for in size and strength. I feel so.
Okay, dude,
I
have
don't
you been
I'm not
watching
really
the
seeing it.
embeddeds?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Did you watch Tony Ferguson's interview?
Yeah.
So
I think
you've
pretty much the
seen
same as
him.
always, happy or whatever.
It's always kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so Tony's looked frail before in like some of his recent fights, like Dariush, he looked pretty frail.
Yeah.
Chandler, he looked frail. But dude, I've been watching the embeddeds. Like this is the first fight where Tony like just looks like an old man. He's starting to get like a little wrinkly on his face. Like he's definitely put on size, but I wouldn't even necessarily call it good weight.
But he just needs to gain a little bit of weight, like just a little
Yeah,
bit of
he
fat,
needs to
like in
gain
time.
weight, but like I don't know, man. He just doesn't look healthy. I honestly feel like it's going to be the leech by a stoppage in this fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean his chin's been cracked. His chin's been cracked, and
His
that's
chin's been cracked a lot,
really
dude.
the last
Getting
thing he
fucking
had
flatlined
going
by
for him.
Chandler in what, March or
Yeah, it's a
May?
quick turnaround too. It's way too quick of a turnaround. It's
It's
crazy
been
how
like
fast this is.
less than 6 months.
Yeah, way too quick. So
Plus, like,
after such a
yeah,
brutal knockout too,
all of his fights have been
he was
damaging,
out
dude.
cold for.
We looked through all of his
Oh
fights.
yeah,
Gaethje TKO'd after 4.5 rounds of a brutal beating. Then you got Oliveira. Got his arm basically broken in half. Other than that, I guess he was fine. Dariush gets his
we'll
knee
find
twisted
though.
off. And then
Yeah.
fucking Chandler gets knocked into outer space.
I mean,
Dude,
just he was out cold for several minutes after that fight. Like it's way too fast of a comeback. And then the fight was announced like 2 weeks ago. They're already fighting. I don't know, man. I don't see it, man. I don't. It's just I don't really understand what the point of these fights are. Like
dude, it's just to give the it's I honestly feel like
it's
it's
like it's not
because the
even. It
UFC,
doesn't really build. I mean, it builds them up,
dude,
I guess, for casuals. But like, I don't think consider this a fight that builds up the leech. I
it's
would say
because the UFC
Santiago would
sees the
much
leech
better
as
win.
the male version to Zhang Weili, and they're cornering that China market.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's a publicity thing, but in terms of quality of win, like the leech has had much better quality win qualities already.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, he doesn't have that big name on his record.
Yeah, he doesn't
And
have a
the
big
other
name.
thing that you have to look at is he's a Chinese fighter from a country that the UFC desperately wants to open up. And he's an
Yeah.
exciting guy with multiple knockouts on his record.
Yes,
Like
definitely
he's
fan
a
friendly
very
style.
marketable guy. Also, you should be watching the embeddeds because they've been really
No.
pushing his personality more, like doing like minute long interviews with him and
Oh yeah.
showcasing his personality and his team. And yeah, he's pretty likable and he's extremely marketable. So, like from that perspective, it really just seems like dude, think about it. If this was like an old man fight for Tony, similar to Jim Miller versus Donald Cerrone. Like obviously this isn't an old man fight, but if they wanted to give Tony an easier fight, you can say, "Oh, well, they're going down the rankings at welterweight. He's not like top 5. He's not even top 7."
Yeah, but it's a
But
guy on his up and up and in a higher weight class. So like,
right. And there are
if the
so
leech could
many.
make lightweight, if the leech could make lightweight, he would be pretty
Yeah.
highly ranked lightweight.
Yeah.
Like,
And dude, there are so many other fights that are easier for Tony Ferguson that the UFC could easily put on and would be more fan friendly. So you have to ask yourself why. It's not out of any preservation of Tony Ferguson at all, man. I
yeah, yeah.
okay.
I don't know. It's just like the same feeling as I had when he fought Michael Chandler. It's like I didn't get the point of it. Didn't really want to see this fight,
But at
and
least Michael Chandler was
I didn't think the fight
famous.
had any meaning. On top of it, it just makes Chandler more annoying. So I'm like,
But dude, at least a win over Michael Chandler is like extremely impressive because we know how good Chandler is. A win over the Leech is like, okay, Tony could possibly make his way back up to the top 5. It's
yeah, win
like,
over
well,
Leach,
that's your fucking reward,
I would
bro.
just be like, all right, you're a solid welterweight gatekeeper. It's like that's your role from now on. and that's
Dude,
just a
Tony
wrap.
didn't even say that he's just going to welterweight, though, right?
Hmm?
He said he'd go back down to lightweight.
Dude, I'm sure he fucking said that. Yeah, I gotta. He didn't say that. He must have said that in some other interview. Did he say that in the media day interview?
I thought he said it in his media interview.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
official prediction.
Hmm?
Official prediction for Leach versus Tony Ferguson.
The Leech round 2 knockout.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, too. I
Round
think
2
he
knockout.
hurts
Then,
Tony close to the end of round 1 and then finishes him in
yeah,
round 2.
exactly. Then Kamzat versus Nate. I've got Kamzat round.
I actually don't
I'm just
know.
gonna, I don't know, man. I feel like he might sub him, but Nate has good grappling, I suppose, but probably not good enough. I'm gonna go with. I also just think Kamzat's a little crazy. Nate's also hard to put away. Nate's really. I'm not gonna bet on. I'm not gonna predict Nate getting knocked out. That's for sure. Might just say Kamzat by decision.
Dude, what? Okay.
Dude, is he gonna
That's
get
crazy
subbed?
to me.
What do you think?
Dude, Nate Diaz got fucking manhandled by Jorge Masvidal.
I know, but it's so hard to finish him.
Is it though? Hold on, let's take a look at his record. So my official
He's
prediction
a
is Hamzat
crazy.
round 2 TKO.
No, that's way too early.
Dude,
He might submit him early, but he's not
Hamzat's
gonna
gonna come out.
TKO him.
Okay,
Like,
this is my
no.
prediction, man. Hamzat comes out like a fucking monster, takes Nate Diaz down no problem, carries him to his corner, smashes him down, starts punching him in the face for like 4 minutes straight. And then in the second round, he does the same thing and the ref stops it.
The ref stops it like one of those standing TKO
Dude, Josh
stoppages.
Thompson knocked out Nate Diaz in 2013. No, not a standing TKO. He'll TKO him on the ground, like what he's done to a lot of his opponents.
Dude, I don't know. It's so hard.
Okay, Josh Thompson knocked out Nate Diaz in 2013. RDA beat
Okay.
him
I
in
don't know.
2014. And then he has a few wins. He has the win over Conor McGregor. Then he has the loss to Conor McGregor, which I thought he won. And I think you thought he won too.
Yeah.
Then he TKOs Anthony Pettis. He loses to Masvidal. And he loses to Leon Edwards.
You just take. I mean, bottom line though is he takes a lot of damage and he doesn't get finished. Like he has a great chin.
I mean, the only finish that he's gotten was the Masvidal cut and Josh Thompson, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't even know like, fully how bad
Oh, he got armbarred in 2006.
He got armbarred against.
Wait, how can he say that he's never been beaten if he literally tapped out to an armbar?
Oh wait, no, sorry, look at the wrong thing.
By Hermes Franca.
I mean, to be fair, that's 2006, bro.
I know, but still.
That's fine. Overall, he's hard to finish.
I mean, dude, he does
I'm
kind of
gonna
have a
fine.
legendary record.
I'll give Kamzat a late finish. I'll predict Kamzat round 4, but I'm gonna say submission.
Okay, but dude, fair enough. I can see him submitting. Well, I don't know. I guess he's been submitted before, so I could see him like choking out Diaz.
I think his grappling is worse than Kamzat's. Dude.
Similar to how okay, but his jiu-jitsu might not be like his actual submission game. Okay,
Yeah,
but dude,
maybe.
I can see that scenario happening. But tell me, like, illuminate the pathway there. Tell me how Hamzat gets to the 4th round to a point where he can submit Diaz.
I mean, I think it involves.
Is it striking mostly or grappling mostly? Or mixed?
No, I think it involves a takedown. I think he'll take him down. I think he'll take him down, and then.
But that involves 3 rounds before he finishes him.
Yeah, I know, but he might just he might strike for a bit to soften him up, man. He's gonna be
Dude,
beating.
I don't think so. I think he
striking.
takes him down and like just immediately, bro.
Just like round 1, like take him down, submit him. Round
Look,
2,
he
round
took-
1, round 2.
I'm pretty sure Hamza's taken down everyone immediately except for Gerald Mearshart.
Well, what about Gilbert Burns?
Yeah, he tried to take him down immediately. He just
Brother
like
Khabib.
stopped trying to take him down because Burns defended it pretty well. In the first round, he did go for a takedown, and he got the takedown.
I think he'll go for it. I think he'll probably go for a takedown round one, but he might
Dude, his
do it
wrestling's
later in the
gonna
round.
fuck Diaz up.
The problem is he might do it later in the round, and then it's like, you don't have enough time to get a finish.
Dude, all right. Well, official prediction: round 4 submission. Dude, that's a bad prediction.
That's a really bad prediction. I'll go round 2 submission. Round
Jesus Christ.
round 3. All right, cut the difference. Round 3.
All right, cut the difference. That's more reasonable.
Yeah.
All right, man. These fights are gonna be good.